in Calabar. He knows if he travels, one of these days he will fall into sit at home of people. Apart from Samfara, he knows there are bandits on the road. What do you do now? You can still reach such a level online. Now, distance education. I learned there is a unit for that year. That unit should be empowered to offer every program. In fact, IGNO, Indira Gandhi Open University of India, and the highest number of students in the world, the Indira University, and it has no students on campus. Everything is online. Yes, over 2.5 million students. 2.5 million students. So, all the universities not even up to 1 million. So, a university in India through distance education. Now, education 3.0 and 4.0. What are the things? That means your learners, adult worker, centered approach. No is a worker. Fees the lectures for a period that will not stop his work. That means instead of 8 to 5, what are you going to have now? You are going to have maybe 5 to 10 p.m. And you ensure you want to have synchronous. It's going to be what? Early, maybe around 5, not when it is sleeping. That's what it is. The tutor is a coordinator, not a teacher. And the other worker is researching. You give them everything. Let them first of, they will not be asking you questions to clarify, not to teach them again. And more dialogue with your teacher. And what is everywhere? And students learn everywhere. And lesson plan now called learning plan, not lesson plan again. It's a learning plan. And this one is not going to be. This program is for this institute is 6 months. No. You will sit maybe online with him with your schedule. How many months do you behind it? Somebody will say, I wait 3 months. You agree. As for me, I had it until 1.5 years old. So it's not going to be a class that must get in, pass at the same time. It's flexible. And also, the 4.0 aspect, co-creation and innovation is focused. In fact, you are going to see with the student now. He or she is going to tell you, this is what I want to learn. As if you have 1,000 students, what you have. In the morning she did it. She asked, these are the things I want to do, and there are other things we should treat. That's what we call co-creation. The curriculum is not determined by the institute or anybody, but the learners know this is what I want. And that's what we are going to do now. And you learn everywhere, and the school now develop your skill. And personalized adaptation and learning. Personalized. It's not that, like I said, for any group. Learning plan or activity plan. Just not just planning. You want to transfer learning into positive, productive ends. And free. And easily accessible technology. And use of virtual reality. Things that are not possible. You now use wearable technology that will take you to what you cannot even do in reality. And then evolution and innovation. So these are the things. CBD. Continuous development is called to adult education. For the adult ability and survival. Like I said, who move by shifts? If you are not very careful, you lose your job when you don't move with the trend. 2. Adult education and re-education will be ICT dependent, not physically dependent. Therefore, we promote technological literacy. It's not just to say, I want to go online. What you do in the classroom, you now take a video. Good morning, everybody. Today we are going to ask candidate classroom instruction. No. Not just video, no. You have to design it very well. talk about first step design, you must know about it. And then core is infrastructure, very important for nine resources to use. And you must know the theories of adult learning when we are developing classrooms.
Thank you very much, Dr. Anandere Yusuf, for that presentation. Time for comments? Observation? Questions? I have number 1 here. 2. We have only 2. 3. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to in fact his advocacy to national university, and we must all queue behind him, because the work has education. I have taken over 30 courses in online education, World Bank, idiot. Over 160 universities. So what are the opportunities for this institute? The opportunity, like I said, thank you. Thank God we have a revolutionary DG. A revolutionary mind is a developmental mind that is deep, knowledge ambassador, and open to changes. This institute has a very wide market. So, like the facilitator said, not only rendering education, you can also rake in money. Like the EDX platform. Like I say, several universities go there, you do online, you pay token, you can pay as low as $5, $20, $150. So people, you look for experts around the world. So you can also affiliate with some of these world universities, because it's a unique education, unique area the institute is providing. So you can leverage. You can have instructor in India, like one of the course I did, global public health. You have from India, Sweden, all over. So this institute can galvanize its online education and also attract world coming students from all over the world and make money. Then, workplace environment and clean energy transition. I think this course is also very, very important, because we are moving in direction of climate action. Thank you.
Thank you, the presenter. I think it's very rich content that Dr. exposed us to. I like to say we have a lot to do with you. That's the Department of Academic Distance Learning Program. We have a quota. This institute has a quota where we provide professional labor engagement. But I think what Doctor has presented simply shows more possibility. Simply shows that we have just been scratching the back of the doctorate, and much more capacity. What more capacity is needed for us to keep deeper. Certainly, I view the possibilities that we could offer workers or labor education on the go. Labor education on the go is a possibility. The market is vast, very very massive. It is not. I know. Solicom. Solicom is a platform that the International Labour Training Center in Turin uses to provide labor equipment to trade unions and activists across the world. I think Minils has that potential to explore that market in order that our services can be available online to persons who may not be able to attend our physical training programs. So I use this medium to say this is a good one, and that we will work closely with Doctor. And I hope that the Herbert Foundation will be able to support the quest that we have for more capacity to be built in this area. Thank you very much.
Dr. Namade, you are right, is a professor from the Educational Technology Department at the University of Ibadan.
Thank you very much, Prof, for a very fantastic presentation. Sure, you are right on all counts that online learning is a new reality, and COVID-19 has legitimized that channel, because before the outbreak of COVID-19, a lot of people have been reluctant, but the reality of the moment has made it expedient for everybody to embrace that. However, sir, I expected to see how you are going to identify the major challenge, and that is the challenge of infrastructure to drive the effectiveness and efficiency of the online educational system. Because at the University of Lagos, we had some challenges during the online lectures and examination, to the extent that a lot of students came with complaints that they were logged out, they could not submit. So the university recommended that the exam should be reconducted, and that has never happened. The university system in Nigeria is quite conservative. If a student misses the exam, that will be the end. But for the first time in history, complaints that followed this experimentation with online learning platform. We use Moodle, and we also use LMS. So, but the challenges that came with this were quite enormous. So, infrastructure, sir, how do you think? Do you think in this country, how will you rate our level of efficiency rating in the area of readiness, preparedness, and capability to be able to utilize this platform to achieve our goal? And the institute, how well equipped is the institute infrastructural technology, and the audience that institute will serve? How well how do you rate their capability in this regard? Infrastructure. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, okay. Thank you for your very valuable remark. I think you've taken a lot of points I wanted to make already, which also reflects on our experience as FDS, especially in Nigeria, with our online formats. I mean, we have talked about spreading out around. Last year we had a lot of adaptations to make, and some things worked very well, and some things didn't. I think Prof made some very valid points, especially when it comes to the attention span, which is completely different online than it is in presence. Now, while there's still some opportunity, I think, especially for an old and established institute like Minils to get into that, you also mentioned some of the problems that come with it, because the market is already full. And to be very honest, you may have a good name in Nigeria, but abroad nobody knows anything about it. So, just like we have a good name in some certain areas, but the rest of the world, we have no idea who we are. So that means if you embrace on that, you have to be very strategic into where does it create added benefit for the institute, where, and that would be my first idea, which I want to put out there, is where could it create more interest for people that to then maybe get an online course, get something small, like a teaser,
process.
Exactly. To make them aware of labor issues, labor training issues, labor research at Minils, and then get them to do the full thing like for a week or even a few days. Because one of the big advantages of this environment, as opposed to online learning, is you have it. There's always so much more to learning. I think you mentioned it in the very first presentation, than only the content, which you can easily have online. You can have it in YouTube, you set it all. But especially in labor education, the exchange with other people is just something different. We did a whole almost one young workers training without presence. Still, the 2 sessions probably they had in presence were more important for their education than the whole year they spent online. Because you can't replace the interaction between people. That is, if you take some of the lessons from our first presenter seriously, make it interactive. Because if it's just somebody presenting, you can go to do that online. Nobody cares. But I think that's just some considerations. Obviously, and like I always say, our advice is always free. For the rest, we have to look into our books. But anyway, Global Labor University, which I think a lot of you already attended, they have a lot of programs which are supported by us. Even Korean, we have connections with them. So the things that are there, they can be reused and readapted to include the expertise of Minils for Nigerian labor, which is something which nobody else has. That might be a way forward. So just a few of my points as to the presentation. Thank you, bro.
Prof, thank you very much for the fantastic lecture. My name is Nzaga Ezebonaya. I'm a representative from National Salary Seekers Administration. So I know too well that there is what we call compensation of work and policy. And if we tie to what we call API, level of productivity. In this your online training, let's take the university as an instance. This your online training now has scaled down your job. How can we measure your API based on this online training? These are the remuneration you did at your job. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Prof. I want to appreciate you for a very fine lecture. Sometimes when I listen to lectures like this, I begin to reflect and wonder. Online learning has been on for over a decade plus. I think as far back as 2008, 2007, 9, online courses have started picking up. Probably Nigeria was just gaining up the spirit. This is what I want to see. If you're talking about the institute of Minils, catching on to this now, there are a lot of things that are needed. You know, a number of people here have mentioned infrastructure, but it's not just only infrastructure. Some of the things you understand about this is more. You need what I call 3 C's. You need capacity, you need competence, and you need capability. Without these 3, this cannot come up here. So, I think, and I will feel that you should tell us, based on our current state, because this is more, let's just say this is utopia for Minils. It's a vision to get there. But right now, where are we really in terms of moving there? There's a lot of investment that has to be done. Core massive investment, because even the online learning system, the way the contents are created, the way they are delivered, is quite unique and very different from what Minils have been used to for the past 30-something years. And then, even one thing about online courses that you must have strong research competency skill to create online content. Because most of the content you put there must be linked, in most cases, to studies, to so many of it. So, that is an area where I think needs to be done. Then another thing is this, and related to what the colleague has said. If you bring in this online here to Michael Modu, fact factor that already we already have a job schedule and you want to bring it online, what you are doing is you are enlarging our job function. You are enlarging it. You require us to acquire new skill to do that job. Who is paying for it? Is it the staff that should take from his salary to invest in himself to acquire that skill? Or should it be the institute that should devote money for the staff to acquire that skill? So, what I am saying in essence is, as much as we would smile and be very happy about it, let's know that to take off will require more than just a smile in this world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Congress. I quite like the presentation. You mentioned one word that actually touched my mind, that we don't need to reinvent the wheel. So, and this is Minils. This is National Labour Institute, which is tripartite in nature. So recently, I think just last week, we finished a course with the International Training Center ILO, which is challenges and realities in the digital labor platform. So I think those platforms and the collaboration the center could have, we already have the worker specialists that just arrived in Nigeria in Violata. So I think we could leverage on those resources. The content for us is not a problem. And the institute could also help, because based on what I learned, a lot of challenges for this type of work, decent work deficit. So the institute could help in terms of ensuring that there is labor inspection, there are decent work for these young people, that kind of platform. Then the second platform, which could also be leveraged by us, as mentioned by the resident representative, is the new online academy. We just finished the regional conference. In fact, today it was taking the concluding part of it. It's very open for us to utilize. There are courses on labor standards, courses on just transition, climate change, so that those courses, we could have people to enroll into those courses, while we have various participants across the country in the different statewide coordinated. So I think not to invent it only is very key, and at the same time we have resources to leverage as a tripartite institution. Thank you.
My professor, thank you sincerely. Irrespective of the comments, I give it to you by your own excellent. Having said that, I just want to react to what someone says about the national university information. So when you talk from online education, there is no university in Nigeria today that doesn't have online. AUC will have to sacrifice you to go ahead. So that online education has been on over 50 years. Go on your research, you will know. About 20 years ago, when Peter Okoye was at the AUC, so he brought about this online. This pedagogy education, everything about it, so it started. So, yes, but what did he do? So he did with larger extent. We were having a virtual library this week. I don't know, because some universities do not afford to connect to virtual library via African Center of Excellence and WhatsApp. So you can, if you are connected to it, you can access any university in the world. Or some of them could not afford. So the problem we are having, like somebody said, the ability to put it in place. You see, the prof told you that he had a self-development. IT is not what you expect somebody to train you. You just have to help yourself. But you didn't work. IT is the engine. You must help yourself. They said one director was doing, I said, why is he not doing? He is busy. I think today we are talking about fourth industrial revolution in accounting. that has to do with web accounting. So we need to be here to appreciate what curriculum brings. So every discipline today has a lot to do with IT. Thank you very much.
I think Prof can respond now.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much for the information you have given. I was part of the few lecturers who joined the Coca-Cola training day when we were ES of the NUC. But the reality is this: over the years, this use came about. I can say with all modesty that the universities, when the COVID came, the universities were not ready. No, not even a single one. What we did, everything but emergency remote teaching, not online learning. It's like, oh, there's fire, you don't even know the cause of the fire, you are going there. So there is still online instruction. There is emergency remote teaching. That was what we did. In fact, people are just using either WhatsApp. Those people who use Bluetooth. What happened? In fact, it was just okay. They just put a PDF there. Like I said, it's not just this small thing. I'm sorry to say this. University of Illinois since 2007. I've been sent for several training. Comment of planning. Tries 7, 8, 9. I was at their training. Comment of planning. They are on distance education. That our university don't even have any center of distance learning. Just because we are planning 3 years, I was so the center came in 2011. But for 4 years, I was doing on training. Professor Jaya, we went to Kenya, African Distance Education Council. I was sent to Tehran, Asian Council on Distance Education. So I was having all these things, and it became leverage university used. In fact, I introduced at the director of the center. I called a young man from Minils who installed our Bluetooth. I did training in 2011 by the university training. But other things I had to go on my own. Because you're on YouTube, in fact, I became a Google trainer, I can use other things, not through any training. But I needed it and I learned about them. I was on Coursera, I was on YouTube, I was doing all these things. So the institute must pay. That's reality. I'm talking about issue of competence. You can't buy it. Some people must be developed. There are people who have potentials. But when they are assisted, they will now give the system back. And those several trainers at the university, much more than what I've been paid. So the university invested on me, I've paid back severally, and I'm still doing it now. So when the COVID came, instantly I had no problem. In fact, I was one of those fellows. I trained lecturers in Unilag, College of Medicine, their university. I also trained some lecturers. We didn't even use the one that the university had. I trained them on Canvas. And they are still using it until today. And Canvas, I did the first training on Coursera. And this second training, third training, and this one second training. So, now, the other area is motivation is very important. Nigerian universities and institutes, they can't succeed until they are able to spend money. I give an instance. Some institutions in the world, what do they do? When they want to do the online aspect, people are remunerated for every module they produce. Not only that, they also factor that one into their promotion. I've accessed people from South Africa. One of the things that I saw in their promotion criteria is that they sent to me their modules that produced, and they asked me to access those modules. So motivation in terms of money, in terms of promotion, and infrastructure is basic. So yes, return those is basic. Now, the other one has to be In Nigeria here as of today, I will recommend full online training. You are going to have blended or hybrid setting. Why? The infrastructure is not yet there. So you have people in class. You have, like I said, my class since COVID. Head of my class, I've been using the hybrid. So in fact, you can be in the Ibadan and be in my class. I take attendance online and in the class. So it's not easy. And in fact, that way it's even easier. Because once you are there, it will report that you are in the class. The other one, I must ask you to write something. So blended learning must be something. Now, the cost benefit for workers. I encourage the institutes, universities, and schools to pay something to motivate people. But the benefit on the long run is for you as a tutor. I give an instance. Whatever you produce now, you just need to tinker a little bit within next year. The ball is what? Is always there. We are having a training tomorrow in my faculty. We are training our lecturers on movie for second semester. And part of the training has been there. What we are trying to do, we have brought down what they did last year, give it to them, go and improve on it. In the past, what would they do? They will start all over again. You already have the material now. So it's the first time that's always difficult. On the long run, the benefit is for, and like you said, the online competence cannot be overemphasized. Online competence, online pedagogy is an area on its own. And what we did at the Master of Learning was a cascade training. Like I said, I went on training outside the university. I was lucky to have two of my students, people who are better than I. They came and I formed them into a team. We cooperate together. We train others. They go to train others also. Because when you have this general training, there's always a tendency. It's not usually individualized. Let's say you have 10 units now. Just take one bit from each unit. Let them go through deep something. Training for 2 days. Let them prepare a part of the module. Correct them. Just for 1 week. They will go back. They will be there in that unit. They will now become the trainer. And as they train others, they gain much more competence. Yes. So it is the cascade training. If you are thinking about 1 day training like this, it will not work. It will not work. And finally, institutional support. And that is the leadership. If you have the best brains who know about online learning, you have the best people who can work up with ICT, and leadership is not the support of it, forget about it. In fact, the major factor, based on my discipline, of success, technology integration in education is the leadership, number one. The University of Ilorin, what you developed when Professor was there, you cannot say anybody. Because that was his own focus. And that had put in jam also. So the leadership matters. Oh, there are things we can do better. Oh, we are good. We can be better. And we can be the best. That's always the ideology. Now, but people are, oh, maybe you are ashamed now. Why do I need to change? She's talking about what? Transformational leadership. That's the idea. The thing is working, right? But it can be better. You are not contented with what is there. No, what are we doing now? Okay. What can we do again? What can we do to make it better? Leadership is core to success.
Thank you very much, Professor Medashiro from the Educational Technology Department in the University of Ilorin. Without wasting any of the time, we will take the last presentation for today, and that is to be taken by Professor Dafe Otobo, Education of Job Competencies and Social Change, Implications for Workers and Employers. A resounding applause for both. You have an ask.
May I crave your indulgence after thanking the other two presenters for such splendid work. May I crave your indulgence to let me go home with this is the already presented my paper. I'm only standing here to prevent being asked to reform accommodation programs. Right. I would like to ask a question right in the beginning. How many of us have seen a 2, 3, 4-month-old baby lying in the arms of the mother? How many of us have? What does the baby do? It studies critically the mother's face. All the expressions. By the time it's 6 months, the mother's trying to smile, trying to smile. And non-verbal communication can always sense which direction the mother is moving. Why? Because it depends solely on the mother. For food, movement, everything else. What am I driving at here? That today, all what we do in life has to do with what we eat, drink, move from point A to point B, physical security, and how we arrange ourselves to get the things that we need. In other words, work is an activity we utilize to meet our needs. It has nothing to do with factories, just basic processes of getting what you like to eat, drink, preserve, and how you get those items, how you preserve them, will make up your technology. There's a tree, a mango tree there. It's bearing fruits. The youngest boy that can go up and climb and pluck some. Some other young man might take a stick or a stone, hit some, and they drop. Then another person, a blacksmith, comes and takes a look and says, what is my way? Why didn't I get a long stick? Put some metal at the top, boom. I just go and keep plucking them. That's technology possible. So all that we do in life, all that we be doing, are all driven by what we like to do in ourselves. How we survive, how we move from point A to point B. So when you say education, my immediate past presenter gave the example of himself accompanying his father to the farm. Precisely that's the origin of human civilization. Your parents, there were no factories to be a hunter, a farmer. Process of socialization to teach you what they are doing. You will accompany them. And they start explaining things to you. And you're observing exactly what they're doing. That's the origin of the apprenticeship system. So before any industrial revolution and employment of workers, what you had in human is apprenticeship system. Then it was within the family. But as time went on, in some agricultural communities, it is your turn to farm. Your neighboring farmers will go to your farm and they will cut the bush for you. When the other person's turn, you do exactly the same thing. But all fingers are never equal. So one of them says, hey, just a minute, I have a much larger farm. Why must I wait for others to be available before I cut the land I wish to cultivate? So what if I talk to farmer A and B and say, look, I tell you what, why don't you find time? We agree, cut this place for me. I give you X amount. So education doesn't have to be in school. That's why I'm giving the example of my colleague's father and himself. So basically, acquisition of knowledge, skills, values, morals, beliefs, habitats. And for some of you young ladies here, I'm sure when you were growing, you were see properly. Here's one six like that. Proper behavior, proper conduct. What is expected behavior? So that's informal and it's also formal. It doesn't have to be in school environment. So it's the process of facilitating learning, and some of the methods my other two presenters have told you include teaching, training, storytelling, discussion, and research. And like him going with his father, he normally takes this other guidance. Whether you are moving your father to the farm or you're in crèche, there's always educators guiding those who will put you through the process and explain things to you. But like the other presenters have also said, you can also educate yourself. You're kind of person, curiosity, you want to seek explanations to any phenomenon around your neighborhood. You observe that during Hamatan, it's drier, it's hotter. During rainy season, you have plenty of rain, the temperature that affects the way you sleep. You want explanation. Malaria, I'm sure we all know what malaria is. But what does the word malaria mean? 2 centuries ago, they thought early in the morning the gas rising from the bushes, from the swamp, bad air, was possible fever. But in no time, they said, oh, actually, no. It's something mosquito puts in you that causes malaria. But malaria is malaria, right? So we are curious. We seek explanations. We need to know what our environment is. Physical security, food security. So that drives us. We wish to understand and improve upon existing circumstances. We say as saying education can be formal, which my co-presenters have elaborated upon, can be formal. It could be also informal settings, like going with the father to the farm. Pedagogy, that's the formal, whether it's kindergarten, crèche, primary school, secondary school, post-curriculum, all of them. Specific mode of imparting knowledge and really do and try to get you to understand. Of course, informal would include any experience that has a formative effect on the way one thinks, feels, or acts. Job competence. Competent job. Work is an activity that, like I said, you are engaged set of activities you engage in to get what you can eat, drink, wear, preserve. It's work. But a job is a bit different. Someone else might ask you to carry out certain activities. And it may be for a few minutes, it could be for a lifetime. But usually, at the third bullet at the bottom, if the farmer, father turned out a very good farmer, he trains him. If your father at the beginning was a good hunter, he teaches you. And if for some reason all these developments that have taken place didn't take place, you also become a farmer also, and the other one a hunter. So that becomes your profession. And whatever it takes to carry out that profession, that activity is also work. So a farmer's profession Hunters is profession. Engineer is profession. It really doesn't matter. Once you are specialized in a particular area, group of skills, you will belong to the group. You must belong to the soul defined. That will define your profession. So a series of jobs anybody goes for a very long period, 10, 15, 20 years, or for life, it's a career. So specific skills are required to successfully complete certain jobs. I want to repeat, specific skills are required to successfully complete certain job tasks. And yet, you can be judged incompetent. You have very good usage of computers. Very good. But that's all. So what do we mean by job competency? It's usually a combination of attributes, especially knowledge, skills, abilities, emotional intelligence, adaptability needed to perform the job, not just one task. Normally, a job analysis is undertaken to arrive at the attributes needed most to effectively perform a given job. Despite political participation, despite all the connections, you will agree with me, apart from the early beginning to show me, here is the most competent trained person for teaching of this list. You must anticipate and all this experience. UNIDO, United Nations Industrial Development Organization, in 2000 defined competence as knowledge, skill, and specifications which can cause one person to act better, not considering the special proficiency of that job. Those attributes, because in the edge, you are going to do things a bit different than those in your department or the business. So that's why competency is sometimes thought of as being shown in action, in a situation and context that might be different the next time the person has spoken. We keep saying change is constant. No day is the same. You come to work tomorrow, your teacher will work tomorrow. Different set of circumstances, different issues confronted. So, if there was someone losing heat or her temper, and he was around, and he calmed down that person, he has shown certain attitude, he has deployed it. He might come another day and see you just shouting. He takes one good look at you and walks away. So the circumstances dictate the kind of attitudes he's going to exhibit and manage. In other words, in emergencies, competent people may react to a situation following behaviors they have previously abused. There's no magic to it. To be a competent person, you will need to be able to interpret the situation in the context and to have a repertoire, a bag, store of possible actions to take, and are trained in the possible actions in that bag of yours, magic bag, if this is relevant. Now, regardless of training, competency will grow through experience, and I think we need to drive in that point. Regardless of training, competency will grow through experience and the extent of an individual's capacity to learn. You know, my mother used to tell me, what's the matter with you? You are so restless. I say something to you, go sleep here, and pass through the same minute. I say, then you mentioned my older brother. That one is very calm. Takes a look at you, you stand there for the next 10 minutes. You know. So Mama preferred him. I said, oh yes, I like my style, man. Now, the last bullet is the critical thing here. Experts now conclude that it is not easy to assess competencies and competence development collectively. You can never totally predict the conduct of any human in all circumstances. So you might draw up a list and say A, B, C, D situation, fantastic. There might be other circumstances that have not surfaced and it surfaced. And you say, oh, the DG, I thought he was, yeah, you thought he was. Because you are not exposed all possibilities. Competence is thus a combination of personal competence and merit at work. Because at work, the standards will be established, the procedures established, and see how well you follow processes and due process and so on. Now, social change. This is normally applied to human beings, but I think we are wrong. I think other animals organize themselves and do understand situations, and they also change strategies. But in general, social change is taking the privilege of sucking it, because we need to coordinate activities with others in and out of the family, at work, wherever else, to get what we want. You know, it probably might surprise you or not surprise you. How many of you have brothers? Female? How many of you have brothers? How many of you have sisters? How many of you have mothers? Fathers still alive? Well, hundreds of years ago, they all used to sleep with each other. A son will fight the father for the mother. The father will fight the son for the sister. It was not like this. So we organized ourselves over the centuries. It's only very small groups that you will find cousins married. Very small groups. So when we say change is constant, we really mean it's constant and evolve practices over the centuries. Now, change can be the cycle, oh, this kind of thing. Matter with us. I'm now an old man. When I was young, we had problems with electricity. Never changes. But we can give you massive sums of money, so we have invested in that. So social change, therefore, natural environment. The first thing we learn to do as human beings to survive in an environment. That leads us into combinations of activities, some hostile, some to agree with each other. How to cope with the environment. Demographic processes. When people talk about Chinese and the Indians, I keep telling them they don't seem to understand the favor those two countries are doing to the rest of the world. One of them, China, has 1/4 of the world's population. India has 1/5 of the world's population. Do you know what it takes to provide just breakfast? For 1.7 billion. Lot of lunch and dinner. We should be thankful they have not flooded everywhere here. So demographic processes. So when you have high concentration of human beings, we drift, we fight, we move on, keep moving, we settling. And that has been the story for the past 2 centuries. So if you trace the origin of some of the Nigerian ethnic, they will tell you, oh yes, they came from there and there and there and there. Technological innovations, other two presenters have done a good job, but I need not talk about that. But economic processes, herdsmen and families, economic processes. How do you feed your cattle? Well, in Europe and North America, there are branches, private branches, and here is dry grass, can be transported thousands of miles. Okay, that's business. To go there, to the branches and the people. And now I'm old man. We are still talking about farmers and herdsmen. And it's ridiculous. Whatever you eat in Sokoto or Maiduguri, they are not made in Sokoto or Maiduguri. You import them. You import the dry grass as a commodity and feed the cattle wherever they are. We just don't bother. Okay. So the economic processes, how we survive, how we produce what we eat, how we keep them, will lead to restructuring the organization, migration, all the stuff most of us have been doing. Ideas. I think this has been well elaborated upon by two others. Ideas. It's amazing how you have siblings. Let's say there are 4 or 5 of you. The first child is in a different world from the 5th child. Totally. When you were first child, your parents' economic political social circumstances were different. The way they interacted with you was different. But the last one, if there are 10 years between you and the last one, your group of you go through primary school, you were just being born. You go to secondary school when it's just breastfeeding. So the socialization processes for 5 children, same mother, same father, totally different. In the same place, they are different persons. Before we begin to think of personality types and what behave differently. So some have ideas. Many of us have ideas. It's just how you manifest them that will prove beneficial. Nowadays, ideas is fancy and involved. If you go to a party, if you don't take some hard drugs, then you are not. You get what I mean? And then you have social movements, like groups. We want to protect these farmers. We must protect the herdsmen. We must protect women. We must protect the child labor. We must protect what's the name for marrying little girls? Thank you. Yes. Then, of course, organized labor. We want to address imbalances, injustices at work. So all these developments are actually the process of change. We're changing different directions. The values are changing. The methodology adopted also changing. We are demanding things to be done, which ties in neatly with the political processes. But there was a time, 1960s, 61, 62, a country called Nigeria. It has 4 regions. No, by 64, we have 4 regions, 3 regions. So by then, I have 4 regions: north, west, east, and midwest. They met in London several times to thrash out how we're going to coexist and manage ourselves. And it was clear in a multicultural, multi-ethnic society, the civilized system was ill-advised. So we had a presidential system, 7 presidents, a parliamentary system with a prime minister. Each of the regions had their own high commissioners and ambassadors abroad. Yeah? The only thing they shared in common was the external defense. That's all. And it was logical. Each community is different. Each ethnic group is different, and they organize themselves different. And their occupations different. So once you manage yourselves, you use your resources and they agree, okay, any revenue we can share, 50 can be distributed everybody. You keep your 50 because you generated it. Okay? the military regime. By 1969, they issued a decree. Everything, yes, we control. Sorry, good oil, we are controlling. In fact, we might think of derivation, 30%, maybe 3%. We see what we can dash. So from that point on, we're in trouble. And we're in trouble. Until you sort out how you can coexist. Right? The average community, they have a 4-day week, every 4 days is happening. They don't consult the government because they are managing themselves. Millions of Nigerians, okay, let me not say I exaggerate, let me say thousands, hundreds of thousands, have died without ever seeing a policeman or policewoman because they don't need them, because they administer themselves. That's the reality. So if you wish to have a police force that can police occur, you can't, because you need probably 20, 30 million, you never have enough money to do assignments. So communities actually, even various segments of Nigerian cities, manage themselves. Vigilantes and all of that. So when you sit in Abuja and you say you are running this kind, you talk nonsense. People are running themselves. On a daily basis. That's what they do. And that's what society is meant to do. Anyway, so political processes can generate all kinds of things which we all. But the mechanisms for social change, for managing, can be one-dimensional, one-way traffic. It can be accumulated and selective. It can be different. But again, being Nigeria, we always go back to the same spot, always use the same strategies, the same tactics. We say, oh, constitution here, federal level, state, local government. That's good. But who controls the funds to state and local government? The political parties in power. So, the local government concept is meaningless. Right? So we have a country run by political parties. And that's why they don't want more political parties. Because I say there are 8 gangs. And they share out the territory. Don't quote me. So once you are tired, exhaustion, I'm tired. Those of you live in Lagos, to get from point 1 to point B. I was in Port Harcourt last week, to get from point 1 to point B, the road to Aba from Port Harcourt, 40 kilometers, I said, especially at the half hours. You get tired. And when these contracts are awarded, they are awarded to companies, you know who owns them. I'm sure you do. Whether the contracts are completed or not, it doesn't really matter. The roads are still total. And here the statistics of how much have been voted and released. And the roads are still like that. So the end result, conflict, unbridled, unnecessary competition for nothing. Nothing. And then a certain element of cooperation from those who control. We must meet at a critical time. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. It's a compromise. It's all right. Yes. But see, like I said, it is just sad that me, as an old man, I cannot see coastal police. Not potable water. Why? What does it take? Even if you want a percentage of the contact, let the water run. Let's have it. One company, when I was in Cape Town, I was teaching in the university, one company in South Africa generates twice of what is generated. It's just one company. And they are what? Only about 30 million. So it's again it boils down to what you eat, what you drink, how you get to point A to B, how you seek your physical security, social security, That's why you have trade unions, employers organizing themselves, students organizing themselves. But you need predictability. You need to sustain. So tension, adaptation, as bad as it is, the way God created humanity, we learn to adapt. Maybe you are hopeful. Maybe something it will change. Yeah, you know. So the vision of innovations. I was teasing my daughter. I said, I don't understand your privilege. For those of you who are married and those of you who are boyfriend, how do you sustain a relationship? So that what I said, because all of you are wedded to your phones, you begin to yes, oh yes. What's the problem? Social media. I said, when people have time to relate, to talk, to see yourself, what do you do? That you can't see. I said, I can't see. So that's why Minils and other agencies that have a responsibility for social, economic, and control planning need to sustain this plan. If you don't plan, it's a planning to fail. And you plan, not like the previous planning, you plan, you have a document, you put it in the cupboard, and life goes on. You have to institutionalize, you have to have the time frame stages to implement those plans, institutionalization. So you know every 6 months something people, every 1 day something people, projects are being completed. That's how society progresses, and you can manage social change. Otherwise, it can go in different directions. I'm sure, going by his reputation, those General Obasanjo, Babangida, Danjuma, and Buhari, when they think back now, when probably at your meet, and you take a look at your president, and you say, do you ever think every part of this country will be played by bandits and nothing? I'm sure you never imagine. But that's social change. People will react. People will react. And the danger is, that's why some of my friends in EFCC and DSS are telling me, be careful. Because once you use arbitrariness, violence, there are many other groups in society that will aid you and employ you more effectively than you. And that's what's happening. And they use it effectively, and the society will be a mess. That's what we're saying. So even if you find a good place, follow process, follow due process. Don't be arbitrary. Like I was reading about a judge, a female judge whose house was raided. And I mean, who does such things? Anyway. So the mechanisms for social change can be varied, interconnected. Several mechanisms can be combined in one explanatory model. Let me these 2 points. To the degree that change processes are regular and interconnected, social change itself is structured. It's when they're not connected, and it's random, you find yourself in the next. Okay? Then change on different levels. That's also quite critical. Let's now go to the meat of the presentation. Implications of workers and employers. The form and nature of the work process help determine the character of civilization. If you look at every historical period, you can see that today now you cannot have millions and millions of people as slaves being carted away. You can't do it anymore. That does not mean people want to smuggle and so on. And then you expect. In turn, a society's economic, political, and cultural characteristics shape the form and nature of the work process. a society's economic, political, and cultural characteristics shape and form the nature of the workforce. One of the reasons for low productivity in the public sector is that. So if you appoint all the people from your village and your friends' friends and daughters to positions, don't say I told you. So the nature of work and those who have not benefited, who are with you at the same place of work, looking at you, they are setting such a terrible example. The demonstration effect are devastating. You know, and don't just get wiped out. Which again, the role and status of the worker within the society. If you don't care about who occupies any position, it doesn't matter. Really. But you see, my take home pay cannot take me out. So what do? There are all kinds of things to happen. And the world of work, comprising all the interactions between workers and employers, organizations, and the work environment, is marked by, again, the Latin speaker fantastically well in that area, is marked by constant adaptation to changes in technological, cultural, political, and economic environments. They are all intertwined. That's why I was quite keen to hear your remarks about online programs. You know, if I am Minister of Communications, then obtain the right, or as you sought the right, to shut down the internet when I like. So how about your online lectures? How will they do? Did I say something wrong? No, I'm just asking. So you see, we are social science of evil. So changes in organization of work can lead to a better understanding of the present problems. This is not worldwide scale that accompany continuous technical, political, and economic changes. What am I saying? Information technology. We just had a laugh about my daughter and go with their phone usage. And the right to say that there's such a good job of it, including computerization, artificial intelligence. You know, Luke Penderson, there's a segment of the section of where refineries in Nigeria, many decades ago, when they were functioning, men couldn't work there. Those that worked there, because of the chemicals being generated, became impotent. What did the Europeans do and Americans? Robotics. Those segments, people lost to use the work. No human being will stand there. So, there's a lot to be said. The rest of them are said and robotics. But for us, employers, you have discovered, management has discovered, you have discovered, you don't actually have to be in the office every day. In fact, employers, we don't even need all those employees. Now, if we want a survey, a market survey, potential demand for that, why don't you come there to Togo and go? Give them the job, give them a deadline of 1 week, 3 million naira, they will give you the report. So you don't need a group to handle that portfolio anymore. So the workforce are going to be restructured and be restructured. That is not to say some will not increase, but the traditional work, they will only focus on core activity. Every other thing will be outsourced. In fact, 2 months ago, I ran a workshop for Chevron in Lagos, and we started talking about placement and promotion. And then, by the time we made the presentation, you can see that The three critical areas have been outsourced to 3 small companies. Flying in, do the study, give the report, and that's it. And that department, 90% of the people is doing it. So you have small groups, small companies owned by some of you, who will now even just preparing a report. Preparing a report. You should be associated, there are an associate. Please come and prepare a report. We have 48 hours, get the statistics, the details, and what it is. And I put my men and women to work 48 hours, deliver. You don't need a 30-person report. So we have enormous changes. That will also affect placement. You might be very entitled, but the job is done somewhere else. That will also change the nature of supervision. Okay? Your job roles, your tasks will be changed. One of the remarks that one of you made in the reaction, he said, we are enlarging our functions. Yeah, we enlarge some, we reduce some, we regulate some. So then ask yourself, as a worker, what are your career prospects? What's your core activities? What can you do that? In relation to the company, what are you in that category of employees that are regarded as core? And if you're not, like you said, so which goes with subcontracting and outsourcing. And even the trade unions, again using Chevron as an example, I was amazed how organized labor can even fight themselves. He said, no. All those employees are provided by the subcontractors. They are not the true. I said, is that so? So they will form their own branch. You the regulars, will form your own branch. But all of you work in the same place, the same room, same place. Unnecessary segmentation division, which you can do with that. That's the way it works. So that means organizing workers will be as simple. It can be simple if most of the workers are young and very angry people. You can mobilize them to blow up a few heads. It can work the other way. What do you need? What do you need? Your union, okay, but don't stop. So there are challenges for doing it. It's coming. To manage what's left for the workforce, the neighbors, it won't be as easy as it used to be, and the money, the reduced won't be as much as those senses. So managing workers' organizations, again, you need more time, more skill. And like the DG said, gender and work. So when you were engaged in idle debate whether a girl should be married at 10, I said, what do you mean by that? They said it's my religion, it's not true. Ever before Jesus was born, ever before Muhammad was born, all human beings that ended up in various ideological and religious positions, they always married out the children at 10, 11. Why? Because you ran in it. The world was not industrialized. You were in a sedentary position. So what the smallest are doing, what else could they do? You married them off. That was 300-400 years ago. Today, you need skills, you need formal education. So you don't have the idle debate. Why I should be surprised you want to marry a 10-12? Why should you? She has a right. It's nothing to do with your religion at all. Because all those are practiced here in different religions, including Christianity. So don't tell me. It's not. Just control, domination. So we're expanding informal service sector by the young and the educated. The informal sector is now being dominated by the young ones and educated, take Uber and go to transport system. You are graduates, you graduate for fighting, you have to chat. So, dramatic changes because they have to survive. And there are not many places in the organizations to absorb them. So they move into all sectors and offer all manner of services. I can engage one to shoot you tomorrow if you want. So, sorry, this is you know. So the external regulation and regulatory agency, that's why they are all overwhelmed. All overwhelmed. Because the population has increased and those infringing regulations and practices are many. Then organ COVID, like COVID. Chief, already so the supply chain, you live in a country where most of the things you eat, use, are imported. So once that disrupted the airlines, shipping. So that means everything, anything you are going to buy here, the price will do what? And that's the reason. Okay? And if the prices are going up, and your take-home pay cannot take you home, cannot buy food, what do you then do? So the dynamics of the private sector, also the public sector. You know, I have many trade union friends over the decades. But what I come to understand is if you own a refinery, the general sector, you own a refinery. In 6, 7, 8 years, it was not producing anything. Would you be paying salaries to take homes? Railway lines the same. Would you take thousands of persons, no services, and you're paying? Where's your money coming from? And you're wondering why this government is on a deficit budget? Such things should not happen. They should not. Rational. Yes, yes, that will be sustaining them. What do you mean by sustaining them? So, COVID work arrangements, I'm sure we're all familiar with this. The growing labor market and shrinking traditional industries. The growing labor market and shrinking traditional industries. So the few companies that render services, that bring imported cars, the textile, well, your DG will be a better storyteller who will process textiles. There's a crisis here. There's a crisis. And we need, like some of my born-again sisters do, we need Christ, God's help. Yeah, God helps everybody. And created everybody, so we need a miracle. How to generate jobs. And that goes with the last bullet. The impact on the social structure, the values, and even the form of education we have. The social structure, the values, and education. I was in Port Harcourt yesterday. I saw one pretty young lady. She was wearing mosquito net. They say it's fashion. Lastly, the future of bilateral and bilateral relations in industrial relations. Employers workers and their organization and the regulatory agencies like the government, while moving into very easy terms. And his opening remarks, he said, I told Professor CIU when he was alive, the thing, it's a first question. You go on, you threaten strike, then you go on strike. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. Then 6 months, you go back. Go back. You said you have some discussion. You have time frame of 4 weeks to pay off some amount. Part of that amount is paid. Then you threaten again, then you go back. How do you run the educational system business? How do you do it? You know, well-placed Nigerians are interesting people. Take University of Lagos. University of Lagos. 3.6 thousand poor children were due to graduate at the convocation ceremony. Meanwhile, the chairman of the council says, oh, who is delivering the lecture? So this is all these are administrative and family ABC. Oh, no, I want my friend to deliver the lecture. This is we've done it. Ladies and gentlemen, that was a crisis. So the chairman of council, you want to impose so for one lecture that they didn't allow your friend to do, those 3,750 students couldn't graduate and got caught up in COVID. Now, can you see what is done to their careers? You know, it's thank you.
Everyone is standing applause for him. Can we give just one closer for him? Yeah, he has been very time conscious. Now, comments, observations, questions. Same set of hands. 1, 2, 3. You just have 3. Let me start here.
Thank you, Prof. Your lecture speaks to the subconsciousness and consciousness of people. Yes, at least to stir it up. Not many will grab what has been said, but many who pay attention and flow with your examples. And presentation is like me. I'm filled with the yes. Thank you so much. I've learned something new that I will go and practice. Competency is a process that has to be developed and that has to be demonstrated and has to be updated, because the competency of today, of a month, may not be relevant depending on the environment you are. So it's something to be developed constantly. And in terms of social change, what I have observed is, given the Nigerian context, is that leadership plays prominent role. Like you did say, sir, in Nigeria of 1960, 62, we have community development process until the military came and think it can put everything in one place. And also dictated the value system. You say, run to your humanity, you won't say. remembered the song Thou Art. So the Babangida regime came and institutionalized corruption. So everybody, the thing is being eroded gradually. Oh, yes, it's institutionalized settlement syndrome, and everywhere. Everybody wants to think of what he or she will gain. It's no longer competency. In fact, competent people are mocked, are ridiculed. Self-disciplined people are ridiculed. And also today, the young men of today, completely, I don't know where to place competence, because if you see 100 youth gathering today, 98% is talking of Arsenal, is talking of yes, it's not, because you have to yes, the general education is okay, but you have to develop yourself. So I don't know where we are going. So let me stop here.
Thank you very much, Prof. Thank you, sir, for the, I don't know how to qualify the excellence of your presentation, sir. But one thing is clear, the presentation has introduced a lot of disorienting dilemma. And I think the presentation is a warning signal for the social partners. Really, the presentation has raised several issues concerning the future of work, concerning the future conflicts, and basically concerning the implication of the informal economy as the last hope of the downtrodden if all the chips are down. So I think Prof is advising us to buckle our belts and make a decision. If we are not politically connected, to be sure of juicy appointment, which may not be driven by core competency, that's one leg of the presentation. Because there are those speculators who are making, whose bread is butter from that angle, not because they are competent to do the job, but like he said, because they are connected to the power that be, or because they have friends at the corridor of power. So their bread can be buttered, not because they have gone to school to get certified, not because they have the competency. But another leg of the presentation is talking about the vision of innovation, which relies completely on core competency, which is also a function of qualitative education. If the type of education we have, we determine the level of competency we have in our jobs. If we need competency to get promoted to the next level, and there are a group of workers that can only rely on competency to get promoted, and there are other workers that need political patronage, ethnic configuration to get promoted. So this is what this lecture has given us. So we need to then check ourselves in the current circumstance. Where do we belong? What is our future? Even within the constituency we belong to, changes are likely to occur because the power brokers are shifting boundaries from time to time and they formulate new cliques. So somebody who is connected today may not be connected tomorrow. Prof has also said that. He said change is constant, but change is also changing. And that is raising an alarm that we cannot just relax. Even if it is politics we are doing to cease to survive, we need to be competent in that politicking. If not, we'll be driven out of the race. That's what Prof is saying. And institutes, I think, has a role to play as the last hope of the working class. Because education is the fulcrum of Prof presentation. And irrespective of where we find ourselves, education is the foundation. It started from when a child is 3 months, 4 months, child is observing, is learning the skills, to become competent, to follow the parent's footsteps, and to have a future that is guaranteed. Whether that child can excel better than the parents is another question entirely. But with the technological change, the children possibly will learn to acquire technological competence better than their parents. That means the future of the children can actually be better if they learn from other opportunities, really. So I think the institute will help the workers to encourage them to invest in competencies if they will need it anyway. If they are not politically connected, then they need to rely on improving themselves, continuous learning, and our education therefore has to be lifelong learning. Prof has said formal, informal sources of education. So it therefore means that no matter the level of competence we have attained, we still need to learn more, so that when the employer is trying to reduce the workforce, we will not be on our employers list. Because Prof said that in the future employers, in fact technology may give employers upper hand, but the employers can also not go back and sleep, because the workers, if they are pushed to the wall, they may fight back. We knew what happened during the NSAS protest. Many companies that were doing well were destroyed overnight because of protests that has no connection with the working class struggle. Really. And this is part of what I think the social partners must take into consideration. And currently, unemployment rate is so high, which is also part of the implication of change. And something has to be done. And I think institutes also need to bring the unemployed into the fold, because they are the future workers. They are the future informal sector operative. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Thank you for the insightful lecture. Angel is my name. I just want to wonder aloud, why should Michael Mutu be charging labor leaders or organizations fee for training? Why shouldn't we, as labor leaders, call on government to set aside funds for Michael Mutu to deliver these lectures for free, to educate our labor leaders, to educate our workers? Why can't we be going on strike on things like that we want to be well educated? I'm just wondering. And Prof, you are talking about the changing world of work. The world is changing. The work demands they are changing, and which must begin to change. And demands are changing. We already have a situation where labor union may stop to exist. Labor centers may stop to exist in future, maybe in 50 years' time, when remote work will have been the order of the day. So I will not depart from the reason why we are gathered here to develop curriculum. Should we begin to think about bringing curriculum to prepare labor organizations towards remote work, and how to focus more on informal sector, so as to, I don't know, by the time we get to the session, we begin to think about that. Maybe developing the informal sector, because a lot of us will go back to informal setting. I'm just thinking one. Thank you.
Good evening, Prof. Once again, congratulations for a wonderful lecture. Always simple, suspect, and easy, for all clarity and comprehensive explanation. Something puzzles my mind. Education, job competencies. Does education really lead to job competencies? Now, does job competencies require self-learning and discipline? The third thing, who pays for job competencies? I make this clarification because I am going to narrow it down to what I want to hit. The common thinking, and Minils is a classical example. The institution should do everything for the worker. Now, I look at this situation and say, if the institution should do everything for the worker, then when does the worker attain job competencies within the context of limited funds? Should it not be a situation where the institution should create an environment that allows workers to self-acquire job competencies within available resources? Because as an institute, one of the core functions of training and adult education is research. And sometimes I am asked certain questions. What do we really do? And I wonder, and I will ask this question. Shouldn't job competencies, the building of job competencies, be a function of managerial policies? Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the observations and questions. Let's start from the last one. He followed his father to the farm. Your parents' responsibility to socialize you, to train you in the ways of the society. The responsibility of your family to make sure that eat, drink, move on by point to point. They are responsible for that. And the thing with work, the workplaces, I decide to set up a company. That's what's different from apprenticeship system. If you're a mechanic or a painter or a carpenter, the chap who is your guy has the skills. In this other situation, you have the skills, but I need those skills to rearrange them to achieve specific objectives. That's why I'm in a position to determine priorities and establish processes we must follow through in generating the end product. Strictly speaking, if your level of competence, qualification are enough in your department to get what I want as the owner of the business, I don't have to train you. I don't have to train you. If I train you, it's to bury you more into the organization's ethos. This is what we are doing. These are the likely paths for people to follow. And we might wish to push you in a particular direction that requires certain skills that were relevant to us. So in terms of your own skill development, that's your business. That's your business. So when I go to the University of Lagos, I take my courses allocated to me. I spend the next 1 week or 2 weeks doing my consultancy with Minils, Share. That's my business. It's your business to develop your new skills. However, if Minils has a particular trajectory, some goals to achieve that have not been there before, just set before, and certain skills are required, or those existing skills which we build on, of course Minils will train you. That's all there is to it. Okay? Straightforward. What was your name? Was it your name? Okay. Any other one? Oh yes, why Minils shouldn't pay,
Should charge.
shouldn't charge. Minils is rendering a service. The thing with private enterprise, the logic is very simple. You're offering a service, you are coordinating the service, you seek the skills of others and facilitators, you charge. End of story. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we have come to the end of today's workshop. Please, once again, we appreciate you, all the presenters and participants. Thank you very much for coming. We are pushing till tomorrow the first exercise and the summary of these activities and action points. So tomorrow, the session starts at 9 a.m. Please let us be here before then to register for the second day. And on this note, I will all rise up. We appreciate each and everyone, resource persons, guests, and participants. Let's take the second stanza of the national anthem as a closing prayer for today. O God of creation, O God of creation, we are praying, direct and noble cause, guide our leaders right, ever use the truth to go in love and honesty to grow and live in just and true. With lofty heights attain to build a nation where peace and justice shall reign. Thank you very much. Have a blessed night.
Did they let me on the yes, okay.